everyone. We're so glad you are back with us. This is season two for us, if you can believe it. We are continuing our Teacher Fuel series, but also talking more about fueling the family and teacher partnerships. Our entire season is going to really be fueled around AI. So, today's topic is AI in the real world, and let's go ahead and get started. So, as I was thinking about this topic, I'm an educator, but I'm also a parent to a 16-year-old and a 14-year-old and a 13-year-old and a 6-year-old. And so I really do think a lot about how this is relevant to them, how it's going to be relevant to them in their future career. So I really wanted to look at this through the parents' lens, K 12. And I should have introduced my friends today. I'm so sorry. It's like we're back at it again. So I'm here with Jonathan Winslow and Sandy Goring, and we are so excited to be back with you. So let's go ahead and get started. I wanted to start with something that Matt Miller shared. So he has been partnering with our district here in Plainfield, and he actually did a parent night for us. So we had a staff PD day in September, and then he stayed for an hour to meet with parents. And really, he said it was the first time he had ever done anything like it, and I think it was a huge success. It was a great way to pull the community in, and also make sure that we're kind of all on the same page with hearing the same message, so that the parents understood what the kids were going to be using at school and how to have conversations with them around AI. And it really was awesome. So I went ahead and linked his slides here and linked a recording of his presentation, and I highly recommend you check it out. Even if you're not a parent, but you're an educator, he has some really insightful information. And I just think some of the things that he said um, were just wow, like just made you go wow. Like he said, picture this 10-year-old student, that's going to be graduating. What did he say in 2020 or 2032, graduates college in 2036, will hit their professional peak in the 2060s, will retire in 2079. Like how we can't even wrap our mind around what that world is going to look like. Like I think about being 20 years in education and how much things have changed in 20 years or even the last 10 years. So I really think that that's pretty eye opening. And AI is slated to change the world more than the iPhone, internet, or electricity. So that also is super interesting to think about. And then I loved kind of the two things he said. He said AI is just the new calculator that teachers used to say in the 90s. What, do you think you're going to have a calculator in your pocket all day? And then here we are with our iPhones with the calculators. Or can't have search engines. What if students just look up all the answers? So when we're thinking in the 2000s, when Google really took off, we were worried about that. So AI is just kind of the next thing. So if we move on to the next slides, it's just one other thing that he talked about was just really how us as parents or as educators can help support students in their learning. And so how we can use something like Magic School or ChatGPT to say, hey, this is what my child's learning. I need you to explain it like a 10-year-old would be ready to hear about it, or create a study guide, or help us find what we're missing. I just think prompting is so important in the process. And I don't know Jonathan's going to get into that in a minute. But and not feeling like you have to stop the conversation, but that it's kind of an unlimited collaboration and conversation back and forth with AI. And then the other point that I thought was super important was modeling our own use. I know when I work with students, one of the first things I tell them is how I'm using AI, so that it doesn't have to be this topic that doesn't get touched and everyone's too afraid to talk about it, but rather, hey, here's how I use it effectively as a professional or to be more efficient in my work. So all of these things were super helpful as we were thinking about tackling this as parents, but as educators as well. And then I just thought that these takeaways were great. Think of it as a 24/7 tutor, help kids brainstorm. One of the things that we've seen the biggest impact in our district is just feedback and how quickly students can get feedback and move on. Gone are the days where, you're taking forever, a week or two to grade a writing piece. Students get it back. They've moved on from the assignment completely. You've moved on from the assignment. There's really, it kind of feels like it was a waste of time to mark up their paper just to move on and not really have them take any feedback, but really harnessing the power of what this feedback looks like and how it can be used immediately to transform writing. And he just said AI is a tool like fire. Fire can be used to warm us, to cook, for light, but it can also be used for destruction and human harm. So we just need to learn how to use it the right ways, but then that also falls on us to model the right ways and have the conversation, right? Don't be afraid to have the conversation. Have the conversation so that it doesn't seem so scary for students, and we can dispel some of the myths about AI only being a cheat. So that's what I have for you guys today. I'll turn it over to Jonathan.
Thank you, Carissa. I love that conversation around it really being a thought partner, because that's really where I'm going to be kind of continuing on with the conversation as I talk about teachers and prompting. And I also just want to commend the fact that your district invited him to talk with your teachers and your parents. That was really forward thinking to create that partnership. So one of the things that that's just really coming forward is the importance around the prompts that we write. AI is only as good as the prompts that we write for it. And in saying that, we need to make sure that our prompts are leading us down to the place that we are trying to get. A lot of times teachers, students, parents use AI and they're like, why would I ever use this? It's not giving me very useful information. And a lot of that is around the fact that the prompt has to be very specific to yield the results that you want. So there's an article linked here, and the slides will be in our show notes. So you can check that out over here in the right corner. You can click, but kind of the big 3 takeaways from the article that I had was it's really important to give the AI a role within the prompt. So telling it you're a parent, or telling it you're a teacher, or telling it that you're a student is really important, so the AI knows from what lens it needs to create for you some ideas. Making sure you begin with the end in mind. Like, what are you wanting the AI to give you as you type out that prompt, and give it that very precise direction. One of the ways that I see this going within our classrooms is teachers are constantly looking for more decodable texts. And so as they're looking for those decodable texts, AI is a great place to support that. But you have to be extremely precise. It's not great at if you just type in write a CVC decodable, it's not very great at coming up with a great decodable for you to use with students, but being specific with, please don't include many high frequency words because they're kindergarten students. Make sure that all of the words are CVC words. Being very, very specific will yield much better results for you and for your students in turn. And then share examples in the prompt to help it create relevant output. So if you have an example, like let's say you're using ChatGPT or Gemini to help you with a newsletter, one of the things that can sometimes get lost is the tone of your newsletter, that you have, that authentic tone that you write in. If you provide it with a newsletter you've written before and say, write one like this, it might maintain that tone that you had and save you a lot of time. The other way that we're using this is as DOE continues to release item specifications within all of the iLearn checkpoints, going to the iLearn specifications and typing in a question that's very similar, like that's from the item specs, providing a passage and saying, write more questions like this, will provide students with more access to questions of that high rigor to support them as they move into that standardized testing and with iRead and iLearn. One of the things that I wanted to just bring up to teachers, Goblin Tools is an AI that doesn't get a lot of mention that I just love, and I wanted to share with you. There's a couple of different tools within Goblin Tools. It's completely free, and it's just goblin.tools. And my favorite part to this is there's a magic to do option. So you can type in a task that you want to complete, and it will break it down into very manageable chunks with time limits of how long it should take. So you can see and kind of manage your time around different projects that you're doing. One of the other things that it has in it is a formalizer and a judger. So you can put emails in it. And this has been really helpful for some of our students that have a difficult time reading the tone of an email and putting it in there to decide if it really was an angry tone or not. It will help you decide that. But also, sometimes we want to fire off a wordy email that might not be as kind as we want it to be, putting it through this first allows you to make it more kind before hitting that send button out to whoever that email is supposed to go to. And then just a fun thing that's available there is there's a chef option, and you can type in just items that you already have in your home, and it will create different recipes only using those items that you have available to you in your home. It's great at that end of the month when you haven't been to the grocery store in a while and you want to make something. It's a great tool to use. And I just want to end with some timely prompts for teachers. There's lots of things coming down the pike for us, and I've used AI in this way. The first thing is a lot of elementary teachers have to take the Praxis reading test. And I know many teachers are concerned about that. When you sign up for that test after you've finished your 80 hours, you get a practice test. And you can kind of go through those questions. But one thing that I've been doing to support some study groups here in my district is to take those same questions, put them through Gemini, and say, create more questions like this, so that I get more opportunities to practice those questions that I might have gotten wrong on my practice test, to really support me in doing well on that in the future. Like I said earlier, creating more items to insert iRead sample here. I know iRead's top of mind for many of us right now, especially with the change in legislation. Getting many students over that bar is going to be difficult. And so this could be a way to support those students. And then Hour of Code is coming up the second week of December. So we could create prompts saying, that we want to create an Hour of Code activity that supports this specific computer science standard, and it would support us in creating some timely projects to do with our students. So that's all I have for teachers today. We'll continue adding to this with other topics moving forward. I'm going to turn over to Sandy next as she talks more.
Thank you, Chris and Jonathan. So many great ideas and things that really align with what I'm going to be talking about, and that is AI for preschool or early childhood parents and teachers. So like Carissa, I am a parent and an educator. My little one is only 3. So really thinking about how are we introducing a child who's even going to be reaching those milestones in their college career and retirement age later than those kiddos that Carissa was talking about. How are we going to prepare them for that while still balancing? And I think all 3 of us we're not advocating for AI to replace physical connection. That's not at all what we're saying. So, we're trying to find that balance of how do we introduce kids and teach them about AI effectively while still getting them to engage and interact with adults and peers and healthcare workers and all of the different people that they need to learn how to work with, and how AI can help support that along the way as well. So I love, Carissa, the calculator that you talked about, the calculator in your pocket. I'm probably guilty of that coming out of my mouth at, when I was 22, 23, started teaching of, well, these kids, they're not going to have a calculator with them. And we all do now. Who would have thought? And then, Jonathan, I love that AI is only as good as the prompts we give. And I'm going to talk more about that with this silly lion that's up here in the corner in a second. And then really talking about why AI and how it can help us parents at home even to have these conversations with our kids. Jonathan, with Goblin and the chef option, and I know you kind of laughed a little bit about that, but I immediately thought, well, how great would it be for me to have my 3-year-old go to the pantry and pull out 3 things, and then let's put it into Goblin, and whatever it is, she can help me make it. Because then we're also talking about mathematical skills that we're going to be working with. We're going to be talking about fine motor. If you've got those child-safe knives, she loves to cut things, or we're going to be talking about degrees. We're going to be reading together. So all of that could come from this one tool that is so, fun of what you have in your house you can make. So I love that, Jonathan. I can't wait to try that with her. So what I have today is 2 articles to talk about. The first one is AI for Kids, Exploring Artificial Intelligence for Kids. And so what it really talks about is start with those things that you're familiar with. As a parent, as a teacher, think about what you use AI with daily. Google Maps, Alexa, and Siri. And how many of us have little ones, either in our early childhood classroom or as parents, who have tried to say, hey Siri, turn my lights on. My little one is always trying to say, hey Siri, turn my lights on. Or, hey Siri, what sound does a lion make? Oh, my Siri's going off right now. And so those are things that we can have them say, hey, look, this is AI. Google Maps, look, we're going to Auntie's house. We're going to Grandma's house. Look, here it is on the map. That's AI. One of the things that I really liked about this article, though, was to teach them that this isn't a real person on the other side. We need to help them understand that you're not talking to somebody who is Alexa in the background. This is AI. So really making that point with them, and littles can understand that. Also thinking about those AI-driven toys, those toys that engage in conversations with a child. So the ones that say, hey, Sandy, tell me your favorite color. And it tells you, and then it says their favorite color too. So just thinking about those AI toys, there's so many of them out there that you wouldn't even realize that AI is a part of it. It does not have to be a robot. Like, I think that's really important to remember. We're not talking AI as a little robot driving around bringing us our food. But if you're out to dinner and you see that, you can talk to your kiddo that could be AI driven. And then lastly on this familiar tools is having those conversations with your kiddo. And if you notice, I keep saying having the conversations. With a 3-year-old, you got to keep talking about it with all of them. 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, but letting them know that we use AI in education that we've all talked about, but even in healthcare. Think about how when they go to the doctor's office, how you could have those conversations of where would this AI fit? What do you think the doctor's using for AI? Hey, let's go home and check it out. So those different pieces. And then the why. Why even waste our time with this? It is a part of all of us now. These kiddos, everything they do, when you think about a 3-year-old, 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the road, their career is going to involve AI and probably so much more by that time. We're also teaching them about technology literacy. It's really important that they understand what that is, being smart with it, like Jonathan said, having those good prompts to get what you need, critical thinking, problem solving, and STEAM. And so this lion up here, I did this a lot with my little one. We talk about, hey, let's get on here and let's ask whatever tool you're using, Gemini, Copilot, let's ask that to make a picture for us. So she said, I want a lion that's eating ice cream and surfing. So here is our lion that it created for us, eating ice cream and surfing. And then that hits on that prompt. One of the things that she did first was she just said a lion. Well, it brought up a real lion and she didn't like that. And she said, Mommy, I want a cartoon. Okay, then let's change our words. Let's say, I want a cartoon lion surfing, eating ice cream. Well, then it brought up just a lion on the beach, this lion on the beach with ice cream. And she said, but it's not in the ocean. I said, okay, go back and fix it. So this is how we get those like to the point prompts and why it's so important. And then from here, we had a whole conversation about so many things. Do you think a shark might jump up and eat this lion's ice cream? Oh yeah, Mama, what are we going to do? Well, what's the lion going to do? Is the lion faster or is the shark faster? All of these things came up from this one AI created image. So really thinking about how you can take that small piece and just have a whole conversation, and then we can draw it. She can draw the best lion that she can. And she can tell me a story about it, and I can write it down and we can read it at night. This is all created from just one AI thing. So that's just an example of how we could use it with preschool and early childhood. And then on this next slide, this is from Embracing the Evolution, AI's Role in Early Childhood Education for 3 to 6-year-olds. And I just really loved this first part, this quote, AI has emerged as a transformative force, reshaping traditional learning methodologies and opening doors to innovative, personalized learning experiences. And again, when I think back to 20 years ago, when I first started teaching, 20-some years ago, we were trying really hard to make learning personalized. but it was still, even with small group instruction and even with individual learning spaces, we were still racking our brains about how do we make this learning personalized to the kid. Well, AI has really helped with that. No more one size fits most, because we know that we've always tried to hit that core, and then we've got the enrichment and the reteaching. Now we can really hit that full spectrum, and we can make sure that our highs of our high kiddos in our classroom are getting pushed even harder, and we're going to be able to lift up those ones that are striving learners. So really thinking about that, it's no more one size fits most. And it's a tool to support educators, and I love this next part, empower parents. It's our job as educators to support their learning in the classroom and help teachers help parents understand and empower them with these tools as well. To do exactly what I was just saying. Maybe you have a parent on that would not know those prompts to give their kiddo about that lion and the surfboard, and that's okay. We have benefits as educators of knowing how to do that. So maybe you need to help your teacher or help your parents understand that, and then use it as an opportunity to grow and learn with your kid. There's nothing better than learning something alongside your child as a parent or as a teacher. When you do it as a teacher, you're showing your kids that you're vulnerable and you don't know everything, and that's the best thing you can do as a teacher. And then when you're doing it with a parent, it is fun. As a parent, it's fun and it's exciting. And to watch light bulbs go off with your little one and your light bulb at the same time, it's just a cool feeling. So that's what I have today. Thank you again, Carissa, Jonathan, and I'm so happy everybody joined us today. We have a survey here. If you scan the QR code, you're going to see a survey, and one person is going to get chosen from that survey for some Magic AI school swag. So super cool. Make sure that you fill out the survey. And then coming up on our playlist, we have social emotional learning using AI for December. Great time for it because we know that December can bring a lot of highs for some and a lot of valleys for others. So it's really important for us to think about that. And we're going to talk about how AI can support you in that process. Make sure that you scan the QR codes and connect with all three of us to share more about what you're using AI for, and then also to see what we're doing. Make sure that you're following Keep Indiana Learning on Twitter and Instagram, and are connecting on the Facebook page. So again, we're so happy to see you for our year 2 of this, and we'll see you in December. Bye.